Tips. Let me see, can you see that? Yeah, right there. There it is. There it is. Tips, coconut oil. Can you see that? Tips, guys. Tips for Black family caregivers to do what? Avoid getting dementia or Alzheimer's. May include this these MCTs, coconut oil and palm oil. Guys, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is your caregiver supporter, Queen C. Pinkston. So glad, so glad, so glad that you could join me on this. I got my new keyboard here too, guys. Join me on this Friday evening. It is 7:07 here Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming in. Guys, make sure you like and make sure you share this video. Let me take a couple of minutes to say thank you. I have received some awesome comments, guys. And I just want to say thank you for those comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, you guys have just been great. I'm telling you. I'm trying to see can I find a comment right now. Sorry about that. Don't want to get a copyright. Let's see what we can do here. See can I find one? Maybe, maybe not. Because you just was great. This was great. Can I go here? If not, I just want to tell you thank you. Thank you for what you've done, and thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching my videos, guys. I appreciate you so much. Some of you talk about the ones that we've done on the Alzheimer's, on the brain function and the different changes in the brain. The last one I did a short where we're dealing with your mom not recognizing you in with Alzheimer's, and I'm telling you, just outstanding, outstanding, guys. And I just want to say thank you for all of your support. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. But thank you for feeling comfortable enough to know that this is a safe space where you can leave your comments and you can talk about what we're dealing with here, guys. I want to say thank you. Yes, I do what I do because of what I've been through. Yes, yes, yes. That's my motto, guys. That's my motto. And you guys know that I was a family caregiver of my mom and of my late husband. And so on my podcast, I've geared it down to just talking about supporting Black family caregivers in doing what? Tips on learning how to do self-care. What else? If you deal with hemodialysis, or dialysis period, or dementia, Alzheimer's. So that's where we live. That's what we want to do. We want to focus on that. So today we're talking about how can we prevent it? How can we can maybe we can't cure it, can't stop it. Only God can do that. But is there anything we can do to help ourselves? Maybe our family members have this, and we just don't want to be, just I hope I don't get this, or that yeah. The Bible says that we are workers together with Christ. We're workers together with Christ. So what can we do to help ourselves? And there are some things that we can do, and we're going to be talking about those things right here today. So, guys, if you can share this video with somebody and get them to get on here and hear this, by all means, go right ahead and do this. God bless you. So, tips for Black family caregivers to avoid dementia or Alzheimer's, to avoid dementia or Alzheimer's. And you're saying, well, what in the world can we do? Well, we can embrace the holistic approach to brain health because that's what it's all about. Remember, I showed you the video about the changes in the brain. If you didn't see that one, by all means, go see it because it's powerful. The presenter gave she went all through the brain and related it to dementia and Alzheimer's. I'm telling you, you need to see it. See it and share it. So what are MCTs? MCTs is what we call medium chain triglycerides. Triglycerides is like a form of sugar. Okay. And so these things these things will help us. It'll help us. It'll help our brain and help our thinking. You remember years ago, there was a commercial from one of the, I think it was one of the black colleges, one of the HBCUs, and they used to say, the, the mind, yes, yes, yes. They used to say, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. I remember that. It was a quote. The mind is a terrible thing to waste. And I can remember I was still living in Florida in like high school and all about, and that used to come on all the time from one of our HBCUs. The mind is a terrible thing to waste. Well, they weren't far off. As a matter of fact, they were right on target. And I can remember some of my friends that weren't black. They used to say, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. The mind is a terrible thing to waste. What are they talking about?" You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. But they didn't get it. And I don't know if they meant anything to do with dementia or Alzheimer's. I have no idea behind that. I think they were talking about education, but it falls into place, whether it's education, dementia, Alzheimer's, whatever. The mind, the mind, the mind. Thank God for our mind. Every morning I wake up, I say, Father God, I thank you. I thank you for my sound mind. I thank you that I woke up this morning. I know who I am. I know where I am. And I know whose I am. And I don't take that for granted at all. Because a lot of people wake up, they don't know. They don't know. They don't know where they are. They don't even know their own name anymore. You know, it's a reality. So we don't want to be um, lackadaisical and just, no, no, no. You got your right mind. You thank God for your right mind. Oh man, I don't want to get off. We can get in this. You know something? I often ask the Lord, I say, Lord, I want to live long like my parents, my mom did. I love to live long, even in this world the way it is today, bless God. But I would love to live long, but I want to live long with good health. If that makes sense to anybody, I want to live long with good health. See, I work in the medical field and been in it all my life. So I've seen people live long, but they didn't have good health. Maybe they didn't have their right mind or the focus of what was going on. They had long life, but it wasn't too good in that respect. And I know you know somebody like that. And I believe your desire would be too, to live long, but to be in good health. So let's talk about some things we can do. So, as Black family caregivers, now we're talking about taking care of ourselves because some of these things are hereditary and some of these things pass down through the bloodline. You can realize, you say, Aunt this had it, and this one had it, and that one had it, and grandma, and over here and over there, or, maybe on the father's side, bing, 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 bing. And you're saying, okay, because when you go to the doctors, one of the things they ask you about is your history, you know, your family history. And if you're fortunate enough to know your family history, it's a good thing. Sometimes not all of us are, because maybe you didn't know your dad, and so you don't know his side of the family and what they suffer with. I didn't get to know my father until I was like 18, and I still don't know all of their lineage on whatever they dealt with over there. So I just basically know the maternal side in what traveled through that way. So that's why I'm very conscientious of my blood pressure and these type of things, because some things came that way. But the other side, I'm not really sure. So I do what I know to do anyway, and trust God. We'll work together with God. Amen. So let's talk. Let's talk. So I'm gonna start from the bottom here and go to just land on a few of these things because I want to get to some good old recipes and some things that we can do, guys. I want to get, because we're going to talk about this thing right here. This thing right here, we're going to talk about it. Yes, 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 yes. That's one of the main things. Okay. So what do we need to do then to prevent ourselves? That's number one. Let's talk about, we need to have access to culturally relevant resources as caregivers. Access to culturally relevant resources. Okay. We need to seek out programs, support groups that understand the unique experiences of Black caregivers. I've said this before, and you'll hear me say it again, but there's nothing worse than talking to someone who has no idea what you're talking about. Okay? There's some people that have no idea, and you're trying to explain it. I find myself doing that a lot of times with, God bless them, but people that I know, clients of mine, they're saying, well, I wasn't raised around African Americans or Blacks, so I never knew any of the history, or I never learned any of this or that or whatever. And so, whatever you can tell me or what. So, how can you? I taught Black history for years, but how can you, within a short period of time, maybe an hour or 2 hours or whatever, try to educate somebody on the disparities and the struggles that the Black culture has gone through? You're not going to be able to do it. I mean, so what I do is sometimes I'll give one aspect of something, one name or something. I think I gave somebody something like, we had scientists and inventors, and they say, oh, I said, yeah, we did. So I'll give you one thing somebody invented. I said, what? So I gave him, I said, remember to see the traffic light? I said, it was invented by a Black man. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, great. So now you can go search that out. And you have to do it that way, because you're talking to somebody that have no inkling. Maybe they never had any reason to study somebody else's culture. There's cultures I don't know anything about. You ask me something about the Asian culture or something, I don't know that much about it. In the store, that's where it says, certain foods and these type of things. But to get to know that culture, I don't. So I don't hold that against anybody. So when we're talking to somebody that's dealing with our health, we need to see, can we find someone, if you can, that can understand your culture just a little bit. And that way they can know more about how to communicate with you and what you're dealing with in your frame. In your frame. You see what I mean? In your world, they can kind of help you identify how to work this to make it fit in your world. That's what I had to have the doctor do with my mom and me. We had to talk about things that can work in our world. In another country world, in their world, it works. But we're dealing with it over here. How can we make it work in our world? So that would be a thing. We need to make sure that we get relevant resources. Get into, like here on my channel, support groups that can understand our own experiences. That will help. You're not excluding anybody. Let me say this over and over and over again. Sometime when I do my YouTube live, somebody will come on and say, well, I'm not African American, I'm not Black, but I'm having problems too. Yes, you are, and you are welcome. You are welcome, welcome, welcome to this podcast. Please come on in. Thank you. And he did, and he was able to join in. But there are some things that are just geared, and we are geared to work with the Black African American culture and caregivers to help you learn how to deal with the disparities that we deal with as Black people, and be able to work that into our caregiving and into taking care of ourselves and those type of things, right? Guys, if you understand what I'm talking about, leave a comment. Just leave a comment, if you will, and let me know. And I want to share this too. If ever on my live, like when I turned the phone trying to find a comment, and it did a little thing there, and I turned it off because I didn't want to get a copyright. These shows are live and they're unedited. They're raw. They're raw. So if you hear something like that, don't get offended. She didn't edit it. She didn't do this. She didn't do that. No. Totally raw. Totally raw, unedited. So Live means live. We are live. All right. So another one is we need to monitor health conditions. So as Black caregivers dealing with this, we need to do what? Keep keep conditions like, and here we go, hypertension, hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol under control as they can affect what? Brain health. Because when we're dealing with dementias and Alzheimer's, which is a part of a form of dementia, which I learned, which I didn't know, and there's hundreds of them, I understand. Um, we need to know that these conditions, which seems to be very prevalent, very, excuse me, forefront in the Black community. Anytime you hear anybody say anything, any health doctor anywhere, if they mention hypertension, more prevalent in the Black community. If they mention diabetes, more prevalent in the Black community. If they mention high cholesterol, more prevalent in the Black community. Yet, I must say this: coming from the South, what I mean by the southern portion of the U.S., being born in Georgia, being raised in Florida, there was something different about the Black African American culture. People lived long. I told you my mother here lived to be 101. She was born in Citrus County, Florida, a little town outside of Crystal River there. But grew up in Georgia, Florida. That was it. That was her world. Georgia, Florida, Georgia, Florida. Until she moved to New York with me, my husband and I. So these conditions, I'm sure, were still there, but they weren't as common, it seemed. Why? One, because they worked more, and I'm not talking about, I know it was Jim Crow era, and I know it was sharecropping, and I know it was all these things. I understand that. But they were more active, and they ate better. Now you say, well, okay, but they didn't have as much money. They hardly had any money. Money was, oh my God, they didn't hardly have any money. They had everything else. They didn't really have any money because they didn't get paid anything. Whatever the guy failed to pay them, it wasn't very much. But they ate in what we call today organic. Organic. And then when they didn't, when they had to eat something that was not per se good, and I'm going to say it this way, the the they call it fat back, the fat back from the hog. They had to eat a lot of that. They didn't have to, but I mean they made the best of it because a lot of times you eat what you have. So on the farm, if they were allowed to raise, I say allow small farm, and if they could afford to and maybe able to have, however you want to say it. Not every farmer was the same, but some were able to have some. So some were able to have pigs. And we had pigs, hogs and pigs. We had chickens. My mom always had chickens. Um, I think that's it as far as live animals. Yeah, because the other animals were work animals. I think that was it. So we always had fresh eggs. And my mom could dress the chicken off the yard. So she fed the chickens. We know what they were eating. They fed my dad, stepfather fed the pork, fed the hogs. So we knew what they were eating. They would make up the food for the hogs and feed them. So they weren't getting a bunch of chemicals and all other kind of things. So they couldn't afford to give them chemicals. But they made sure that they ate corn and the other foods that they would make up for them to eat. And as a matter of fact, when I was growing up, they would call it slop. And what is this? It's a hog slop. They would throw various things in there and mix it in with the corn and do all the stuff. And they would take that, and that's what they would pour into the container for the hogs and the pigs to eat out of. And when they got ready to dress out a hog, they would quarantine that hog. They would quarantine him, and he would have to be there for so many days and only eat a certain diet, and that was only what my dad would give him. And I was very small, but I was like, well, what's going on? Well, he was being quarantined because they were going to slaughter him and use him for food. So they would have what they call in your vegetables now. You're seasoning your greens and your collard greens. So the ones of you that in Africa, they're called something else. I forget the names, guys. I'm sorry. Because you got two different names depending on which country you're in. In Kenya is one thing, and Zimbabwe is something else. But collard greens, and they would season those maybe with ham hock, or some. My mom would make biscuits, and she would use some of the oil that comes from the bacon, which comes from the hog that was slaughtered, in the fat. So she would buy the fat down, and she'd get herself enough. Call it lard. She would call it lard. They used to call it lard back in the day. There was a famous cook um, that used to come on TV years and years ago, and she used to cook cakes and everything, and she would use lard. I'm using lard. Yeah, if you remember the name of that person, guys, put it in the chat. Yeah, she would be using lard. Yeah, she was very well known. I'm adjusting on my stool, guys. So, these were things that they ate, but they didn't get a chance to, so much so, clog up their arteries because they ate a lot of other things. They had a lot of fiber. They had okra, tomatoes. They had a lot of watermelon. They had corn, sweet potatoes. Um, they call them, they're like white potatoes, but they weren't white. They're little red ones. They call them red potatoes. They had a lot of green lima beans. They had peas, black eyed peas, green black eyed peas. They had green beans. They had just food, tons of things, and they ate those, and therefore they had a lot of fiber. So what that did was kept the colon clean. It kept the blood vessels, pumping hard, and lots of. And then with the work that they were doing, then they drank a lot of fresh well water from the well. They would A well is it's in the ground. It's in the ground, and the water had to be dig a big hole in the ground, big gigantic hole. That's hard to explain. A citron, the well, and then they would have to get the water out of the well, and then they made electric pumps, and the pump would pump the water out of the well. But it was water with no chlorine, no chemicals added to it, straight, clear spring water that they were drinking out of the ground. So that was another big help. Um, with the sugars, mostly lots and lots of fruit and lots of berries. Um, I remember blackberries grew. We had raspberries growing. We had some berries I can't even remember. Blueberries growing. There was berries that was growing. There was plums, and there was figs, and all these kinds of fruit and things that was eaten on a daily basis. You you had your nuts. You had your nuts because you had in South Georgia where I worked, there's pecans. Pecans, very known for pecans. So you had pecans. You had walnuts. They grew peanuts. The farmers grew peanuts. So you had a lot of nuts there. So you had a lot from the beans and the nuts, and you had a lot of protein. You had a lot of just these things going, and you ate them on a daily natural basis. Nobody was telling you But you got to get your magnesium in, you got to get your calcium in, you got to get your this in, you got to get that. It was just a natural way of life. Things grew and you ate them. And then you had your fish. And then when we lived in Central Florida, you got your fish, was almost like an everyday thing because of what you do there. Fishing out of the Gulf. Then it was the Gulf of Mexico, fishing out of your rivers. Um, so you had fresh fish there. So you would get in your omegas. Um, you had citrus. Citrus grew all the time. You had the groves, so you had orange groves, you had lemons, you had grapefruit, you had tangerine, you had all of these things that were growing in the Florida area. So you were getting your vitamin C in, which is a natural wound healer, vitamin C, okay, and those type of things. So those are some things that we did naturally. So they live long. But I noticed when we changed, it seemed maybe we guys, there's my keyboard here and I'm laying my phone on it. If you hear a clunking sound, um, if you, I noticed as we got more educated and we made more money and we changed our work habits, which is good, but then we stopped eating, it seems, as healthy. We went more to fast foods. We went more to sitting down more, um, in not getting a lot of the brain stuff in. Fish is brain food. Excuse me, a lot of that stuff in. So things begin to change. So what do we end up getting then? Report after report. Stress. Stress is a big, big, big factor in high blood pressure. Stress, stress, stress. And what do we have? All kinds of stress. But even then, they had stress because they had Jim Crow, and they had all of that to deal with back then, and then coming along. But because they were able to not just focus on Jim Crow, but they were able to say, "Look, this is where we're in. This is what we live. We get this. This do what we got to do. We got to survive. We got to survive. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. We got to make the best of what we could." And they made sure that they rest, and then they definitely on weekends, on Sundays, they were their spiritual side was fed because they were worshiping God. So there was a lot of well-roundedness in that culture there. So I'm not saying people didn't have high blood pressure. I'm not saying people didn't have diabetes because they did. I'm not saying people didn't have high cholesterol. I'm just saying that it seems now within the last few centuries we are more prevalent to be at the top of the list for more of these diseases than it seemed like it was before. I could be totally wrong. I didn't have statistics from back then. So maybe they just live long and they live long with all those diseases. I don't know. I do not know. But I know they were still functioning. They were still cognitive. You know, you had some, yes, had an uncle that had well, no, his leg was removed because he was working in what they call a sawmill, a factory, and he lost his leg that way. So it wasn't from diabetes. But there are some people I'm sure that had those conditions. I'm not saying that they weren't. All right, so what are we saying? We want to keep conditions like these under control. And we're going to talk about some ways we can do that in just a minute. We also want to make sure that we stay socially connected, guys. This is critical. And that's one of the things that our culture did in the days of old. They stayed socially connected. Aunt Susie was going to see about this one, and Big Mama was going to see this one. This person was going to see that one. Somebody was saying hello, and somebody was checking on the other people. It was a village life. It was a village life. No one was per se isolated all by themselves. There's only one man that I can remember as from being a kid that was kind of isolated. And I'm gonna tell you, when it came to me, and he would remain isolated. Excuse me. He was a caretaker of a man's property that adjoined our property. And I'm not going to call his name. I know somebody listening to this video from down home will probably remember this man. But he maintained the property. But he also had another habit, and I don't know why he did it. Maybe he made money. I don't know. But he would always walk around with a bag of snakes on his back. He would go out and catch these and put them in that bag, and you see him coming. So everybody said, "With this, oh my God, here come that man!" So he could be isolated. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he's gone now. It was years ago. He was older when I was young, and he could stay isolated. Whenever he came around us, he couldn't bring his whatever he was catching. I don't know if he was doing it for belts or shoes. I don't know what he was doing it for. I didn't want to know. So that, but anybody else, no isolation. Everybody knew, everybody. And we would see that guy and everybody speak to him. But he wasn't somebody you kind of, you wanted to make sure he had his friends put somewhere else if you were going to be having any conversation. I'll say it like that. All right. But we want to stay socially connected, guys. Okay. Um, we want to join community groups if we can. We want to spend time with loved ones if we can. Hopefully, travel is getting kind of hard right now, but maybe we can find a way. And if you can't do it that way, you can FaceTime. Don't forget phone calls. Don't forget social media. By all means, thank God for social media. Thank God for social media. I don't care who says this is one Christian lady that thank God for social media because you can reach people around the world. I help people communicate with me from the continent in different places. Somebody was on my call the other night from the UK, and I'm here in Rochester, New York. So you see what I'm saying? All right. So what we want to do, we want to get sleep. We want to get sleep. I'm getting better at it. I don't sleep as much as I used to, as long hours as I used to. But you want to aim for 7 to 9 hours if you can of sleep per night. As rest is crucial for memory consolidation and brain repair. So that right there might make me go to bed earlier and sleep a little longer. What is it? Rest is what? Crucial. It is crucial for what? Memory consolidation and brain repair. So, hey, brain, to get myself ready to go to sleep, not staying up so late, not getting in, trying to, get used to living off of 5 hours or maybe 6 hours and you're up and running. But it's saying here, we need 7 to 9. 7 to 9. So think about that, guys. If you get that, guys, would you leave a comment? Would you type that in the chat? Just let me know. Say, I'm a sleeper. I get my sleep. Or if you don't, you say, nah, I don't. I got to start doing better. Because we want to do, what are we doing? This is talking about us preventing, not getting dementias. No form. Alzheimer's or no form. We don't want it. Okay? All right. And we want to manage stress. So we talked about stress. So that's chronic stress can impact what? Brain health. So if we are geared up all the time, and I used to be like that in my life. There was a time that I was geared. My husband used to say to me, honey, you got to relax. You got to slow down. You got to let some of that stuff go. Because I felt like I needed to do it, just do it all. Like, got to get this, get that. And sometimes I find myself now, if I don't watch it, that old habit to creep back in because I look at my schedule. I look at my planner. And before I know it, I'm starting like bing, 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 bing. Whoa. I thought I was on vacation. I thought this was my off day. But on my off day, I'm starting and I'm going all the way till, wow. So I might be off from work, but I'm not resting. Wow. That's my keyboard, guys. I'm not relaxing. Isn't that something? And why do we do that to ourselves, right? Why do we do that to ourselves? We get ourselves caught up in that. Actually, why do I do that to myself? You know, why? Where did I get that habit from? And it developed from somewhere when I was younger. And I've always felt that I had to just go, 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 go. My friends used to say to me, "You're always going. You're always going." It seems like you just always. Do you ever sit down? Do you ever rest? Do you ever just take a break? You just seem like you're just always doing something. You're always going. And to me, it kind of like was a normal thing because I'm so used to doing it. And so then I have to like make myself no. You can sleep in today. If it's only for an extra hour, you can sleep in today. Stay there. Stay there for another hour. Then you can get up. This is your day off. You have nowhere to go. Stay there. Talking to myself. I don't know, guys. It's I'm just transparent. I'm just me. If you guys, leave a comment, help me out, help your girl out. All right. So managing stress is a big one, and that'll help us avoid dementia and Alzheimer's, dementias all over. Okay. And I keep saying dementia and Alzheimer's because majority of the time, for the longest, remember I told you, we thought that they were separate. We thought dementia was over here and Alzheimer's was over there until we did the research on the videos. We found out no, dementia is the umbrella and Alzheimer's is one part of it and these others fall underneath it. Right? Right? Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Okay. Oh, we got to get these recipes. I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready. We're going to prioritize mental stimulation. We're going to prioritize mental stimulation. Now, mental stimulation. We want to keep the brain working. So how are we going to do that? We want to engage in puzzles. All of these things that I see, that I think about, so, man, I don't get into puzzles too much. But puzzles is a good thing. But my mom, I used to give her, is it seek and find? Seek and find, where you search out the letters and make the words up. I used to do that sometime. I need to do some more of that. Yeah. Reading. I'm a good reader. I love to read, be it a book, be it, and music is good because I read my music and get into music, playing my skills. I'm lazy on my guitar. Gotta pick that back up. Hands, pick up the guitar, pick up the guitar. Practice, practice, practice. I should do that tonight. I should do at least 5 to 10 minutes of practice just to get back in the habit. All right. So learn a new skill to keep your brain sharp. So if it's something you've been doing, and like me, you let it slide by a little bit, pick it back up, get it back working. Because now it's going to take me a minute to get my wrist back, my grip back. Don't want to lose my calluses. Got to get at it, get back there, get it back working. Whoa, whoa. I used to do this. Let me do it again. Let me get it working, working, working. And I just bought another keyboard. That's what's sitting here. I had a smaller keyboard someone gave me when I moved to my apartment because I gave away my piano, what I was using to teach with, to a student because I couldn't bring it to my apartment. But I had a smaller one, and I could do some things, but I still like, no. I need a full fledged, and I need something that can fit in here. And so I found a folding keyboard. Never seen one before in my life. I ordered it, I got it, 88 keys here, and I'm excited. Now, make me start working all over again and get back and get some of those exercises back in and hand stretches, working the brain, working the brain. Remembering how I used to do this. So what are we doing? Mental stimulation. Learning on this, so we want to keep the brain sharp. I think one of the things that they were doing in the senior centers too um, was they started having them play computer games. The like burst the bubbles, and I think there's Candy Crush, and There's some other things that you can do. I remember my mom used to go to the daycare. They used to do bingo. They would do bingo and all kinds of little games they did to keep their minds sharp, keep it going. Because the true thing is, guys, I don't know if you remember this. If you don't use it, you will lose it. If you don't use it, you will lose it. Guys, if you ever heard that saying before, leave a comment. I know it's a fact. I'm telling you, that's why I gotta pick my guitar back up. Ain't been that long, but I need to get back in it. That's why I need to do these exercises and these runs. Because if you don't use it, you will lose it. It's muscle memory. We gotta keep it going. The brain is that muscle. We gotta keep it working, guys. All right. All right, here we go. We gotta stay physically active. Now remember when I said you gotta rest, but I didn't mean completely just sit down, don't do anything. You gotta have a regime. You gotta have a plan. We weren't made to just sit. Okay. So we need to do some regular exercise, improve the blood flow. When we do things, I had my little peddler. I got to bring it back again. That thing helps to keep the blood flowing. If you can't get out of the house or something you see those pedalers on TV, you can sit and you can pedal that thing, and it'll keep your blood flowing. You can pedal in your legs. You can sit in your chair and use your feet to pedal like you're pedaling a bike. You can do those things. You can do some little hand weights, or you can take. I have a video back where I was using soup, can of soup. You can take a can of soup and you can lift it and move it up about, and weight and move it up about. Anything you can do to create circulation. Okay, so physical activity. All right, we're getting here. We're about to get to the food. Okay, so we want to. Now we're getting ready. We want to adopt a brain healthy diet. And that's what I've been researching. Adopt a brain healthy diet. We want to incorporate foods rich in antioxidants, omega-3 fatty acids like our fish, and vitamins. We want to think leafy greens. Leafy greens. And they say the darker the greens, the better. That's why we grew up on collard greens. I love cabbage too. Cabbage is a good cancer fighting agent. But I love my collard greens, guys. If you're a collard green eater, do something in the chat there. Collard greens and cornbread. Come on, soul food. Let's talk. Let's talk. All right. Leafy greens, berries, fatty fish. Salmon is also good. Nuts. And my doctor mentioned this to me, and I think you've probably heard of it too. It said that the Mediterranean diet is a great example. But I want to talk about some soul food. Let me see here that we can use the MCTs in, and this is coconut oil. Guys, if you already use coconut oil, you already cook with it or anything, leave a comment. Let me know. Because I haven't been really cooking with it a lot. I've heard about it and use it, but I didn't know the power of it until I started doing this particular research right here. Okay? So it's called MCTs. You can look that up. So it says, while our traditional soul food, we normally don't add in MCTs. We normally don't put coconut oil in all of our food, right? But let's talk about some examples we can do. We can do, because this is a healthy fat. This to incorporate this healthy fat. Somebody need to say healthy fat. Healthy fat. You know what a coconut is, guys. It is right there. You got to see coconut. That round thing at the bottom, the coconut. I love coconuts. They don't grow here. They don't grow here, but I love them. Yeah. Okay. So number one, let's talk about collard greens again. So collard greens with coconut oil. You're gonna say, "Are you serious?" Yes, I am. So here's a suggestion. I don't use bacon, but it's a suggestion in case you do. Instead of using bacon grease or other fats, your ham hocks and all them things, saute your greens with a mix of olive oil and MCT oil for a lighter brain boosting twist. Now I use olive oil. I cook with olive oil. I didn't bring that over here, but I cook. I buy the extra virgin olive oil, and I also take a teaspoon of it. You can just take a teaspoon of it too. It's good for you. Let me say this as a disclaimer: anybody that is allergic to olive oil, allergic to MCTs, coconut oil, do not put this in your diet. Talk to your doctor and they can help you find another way. Do not do that. Okay? If there's any reason you have any problems with coconut oil, do not. It's my disclaimer. But if you don't, search it out and try some of these. These are just suggestions. Okay? Let's move forward. We are looking for the brain. We're looking for diets that can help our brain. Why? Because we are aiming to avoid dementias in any form. Okay? That's what we're working toward here. All right, all right. I'm a sweet potato lover. I love sweet potatoes. I love yams. I love them. I love them. I love them. Eat them sometime almost once every day or whatever. Okay? The whole thing. I bake it, throw it in my air fryer, and I bake it. But now this is a plan. It said, and you can do this as well. Blend, it's called sweet potato mash. So it says blend roasted sweet potatoes with a splash of MCT oil, cinnamon, and a touch of nutmeg for a creamy, nutrient-packed side dish. If you've done that already, leave a comment. I have not, but I will be doing it. I've already eaten today, but I will be doing that one. Yes, as well as the collard greens. Okay, next one. Oh my God, next one. Cornbread with MCT oil. Say what? Okay, we're going to substitute a portion of the butter or oil used in your cornbread recipe. So we're going to cut back. We're not going to get rid of all of it. Excuse me. Because this is like tasteless, I think. Yeah, this is unflavored here. I don't know if you get a flavored one or not, but this is unflavored. And I would prefer unflavored so it won't alter the taste of your food. You won't even know it's in there, but your brain will know it. That's the problem. Okay? That's not the problem. That's what we want. Not the problem. That's what we want. Okay? So you might not, I don't like it because it changed the taste. No, 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 no. You won't even taste it because it's unflavored and it's going to make a difference in your memory, make a difference in your brain health. Healthy brain, healthy brain. Okay, so MCT. So cornbread. So what we're going to do, we're going to substitute a portion of the butter or oil in your cornbread recipe with MCT oil to add a subtle health boost without altering the flavor. We're going to be getting healthy and we're not going to be changing the flavor. It's still going to be that good old soul food. Yes. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. Hey, you ready? Mac and cheese. You can't have cornbread, collard greens, and no mac and cheese. Come on. It's on the plate. Can't you see it? Can't you see it on the plate? All right. So MCT infused coconut oil unflavored infused mac and cheese. So how are we going to do it? We're going to add a teaspoon of MCT oil to cheese sauce. To the cheese sauce that we want to put on our macaroni and cheese, we're going to add a teaspoon for a creamy texture and extra energy kick. So we're going to add this into our mixture. I make mine a little differently. Some people buy the packages of dry cheese. I think you make sure, and they, if you buy that pack of macaroni, I don't hardly eat pasta now, but when I did, you would boil it and then you'd add that packet. I always would use real cheese for mine, and then I always made my the old-fashioned way I was taught by my auntie to make it on the stove. So I would put my milk in my cheese, and I'm stirring and make my batter, make my sauce, not batter, but sauce on the stove. I've cooked my um, macaroni in my elbow, probably got it to the tenderness that I want, and then I would pour that over it and then put it in the oven and bake it. So she taught me to make it a different way. If you've ever seen anybody do that or heard anybody do that the old-fashioned way, let me know. So that's the way I would do it. Yeah, and but you add in your MCT, add in your MCT oil. Um, Guys, I know that there are tons and tons and tons of ways to do healthy soul food. As a matter of fact, I have some books here that I'm probably going to put in the description box. There's a healthy soul food cookbook, and there's a soul food cookbook, special recipes, and some other things there in the links. But the bottom line of it is that maybe you can research out MCTs yourself and see how you can find a way to incorporate that into your diet. Um, there, see if I don't want that one into your diet, and see how it can be a benefit. A benefit. Now, MCTs, medium chain triglycerides. There was a study done in March 5th, 2024, about a year ago, and it said MCTs are a naturally occurring source of dietary fats that are abundant in coconut oil. So coconut oil has a lot of MCTs, one of the highest sources. Okay, it says our bodies rapidly convert MCTs into ketones, which can be used as an energy source by the brain. It says no studies have yet found that MCTs can prevent dementia. So we're not saying that. But some evidence suggests that there may be short term cognitive benefits from taking MCTs, including patients with dementia. So while they are generally considered safe in some, now in everything you eat, there's going to be some side effects. So you got to make sure. Talk to your doctor, whatever, before you don't know what kind of oil you cook with. So, you know, but if you look it up and say, well, I heard this, that it has some benefits that could maybe help, could maybe slow down, could help me have good brain health if I use this Mediterranean diet or use this coconut oils in my food instead of so much butter, instead of so much other vegetable seed oils or whatever kind of things that people use. I heard that it had some benefits that might would help me and help others as far as healthy brain in warding off brain disease, warding off dementias, warding off these things. So you're going to look it up. You're going to see um, what you can find. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Okay, safety wise, for coconut oil, says strong evidence suggests that MCTs are low risk when used by healthy adults. So if you don't have, like I say, you're not allergic to it, don't have any kind of things that you can't use, coconut oils should be okay. Foods high in MCTs, such as coconut oil, are used widely. A few events reported. So they haven't found a lot of people having issues with it. However, you're always going to have some folks that are going to have something, okay? Maybe some side effect. So make sure whether it upsets your stomach or it do something. Now you're not going to use a whole bunch of it, so it might upset your stomach, might not, compared to the other oils you've been using. Who knows? Okay. Let's see if there's anything else we can find can help us with this. I'm just excited about. I went out today. I went out today and bought this bottle. I did because I didn't have any. I was at the store yesterday and I bought my extra virgin olive oil because I was out. And I was looking through and I said, is there? I know olive oil is very good. We'll talk about that at another time. It's very good for a lot of things in dealing with our health and helping us. What do we got to do as African American Black caregivers, guys? We got to take care of ourselves. We got to take care of our loved ones, make sure that they're eating proper, that they're getting the care that they need. But we have to take care of ourselves. And we want to make sure that we do whatever we can to keep this brain. Thank God for our brain, right? And we want to keep it in good health. We want to keep it working. We don't want to say, Lord, you gave me this brain and I'm just, you know, and we don't want to be caught up with fear either. Excuse me, no fear. This is not about fear. This is about wisdom, knowledge, getting an understanding, having faith in God, working together with God. God is doing his part. We're going to do our part. That our bodies are the temple of God. And so we're going to take care of our temples. It's what we're doing. So it is, that's why you'll hear me say from now on, self-care / life care. Because we're taking care of our life. When it's our time to go, we're going to go. Whatever it is that you might go with, you're going to go, excuse me, you're going to go with it, throat getting dry. Whatever it is you're going to go with, you might go with it. But until that time, until the Lord says, daughter, son, it's time for you to come home. We're going to do the best that we can to take care of our temple. We're going to do the best that we can to take care of our bodies. Guys, if you agree with me, if you say I'm talking right, leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up, and you can really, really bless me by sharing this video. Share it with somebody you know that's a caregiver. Again, it's targeted toward African Americans, Black caregivers. We eat the collard greens, the cornbread, and the mac and cheese, and we're getting down, with this stuff. We're eating the fried chicken. You can even learn how to fry in here and all the things that we do, but we can learn how to eat it or cook it so it will be a benefit to us, not just a benefit to our taste, not just to make us feel good and, whatever, but working on our brain, healing and blessing and strengthening and helping us to have a healthy brain while we're enjoying all of that, right? Guys, does that make any sense to you? If it makes sense to you at all, I'm excited about it. I don't know if you can tell what I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I am. Because I think it's great. I think it's great, guys. One of the things that my husband used to say to me while he was on dialysis was so many things you can eat, so many things. It was always, you can't have this, or you can't have that, you can't have too much of this, or you can't have too much. And he used to say, oh man, it's all the things that I love. Seems like everything that I like, I can't have it anymore because it's going to do this or it's going to do that. You know what I'm saying? You see? But what we're finding out in this one, not dealing with dialysis, but dealing with the dementias, there's a lot of things that we still can have even before we even get it. We're talking about, we're talking about prior to. Now, some people that have, they say you can still use this, you can still do this, and it might give a short-term relief. I don't know. I have no idea. talk to your doctors about that or whatever. There was one thing they gave my mom, and I don't even know if they do that anymore. It was a med that it did give her, it restored back her clarity for a short moment, and it did help her. You have to be able to recognize, talk clearer, and do those kinds of things. Well, guys, we are at the end of another video. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. God bless you all. Father God, bless every caregiver under the sound of my voice. Bless every Black African American caregiver under the sound of my voice. Every family caregiver under the sound of my voice. Keep them, and may we all have a healthy brain. In Jesus' name, amen, amen. God bless you all. We'll see you in our next video.